Thank you, everyone, for coming for another Get Chatty with Matty. As you can see, we've got MSeekerOfTruth with us today, so I'm really pleased to have him on. What we're going to do, we'll start straight off with the 3 questions that I ask everybody on their first appearance, and then I've got another question for you after that. So, MSeekerOfTruth, what gets you excited?
Well, what gets me excited? Lots of things get me excited. I suppose mostly good times, hanging out with family, friends, visiting places, visiting interesting places, learning about things, learning about history, conventional and non-conventional. Putting out my videos, and then premiering them and, getting in the chat and talking to people about, whatever I've been researching, all that sort of stuff. Lots of things get me excited, but there's some of the things.
Absolutely awesome. You've just literally put out a load there as well. So anyone else who's coming on now, I think MSeeker set the bar here now. He's given a load there, so that's fabulous. Next question. What gives you hope, MSeeker?
That's an interesting question. There's a lot of things that have doused people's hopes over the last couple of years through fear, circumstance. And at times my hope has been very low, as I'm sure a lot of people watching this has been, but it's always good to have hope and try and keep positivity. And there are things that give me hope, and recently more so, seeing people starting to listen. A couple of years ago we had a whole sort of massive rush of people waking up and looking down rabbit holes and stuff, when this whole coof narrative came in. The problem is a lot of those same people who said, well, now I'm awake, I don't listen to the mainstream media. They then a lot of them fell into lots of bad rabbit holes, and they would say, I'm not a sheep, I don't blindly listen, but then they blindly listen to people that they trusted because they were saying something else. So some of that stuff, obviously, which I've exposed some of the people that have been spreading false narratives and their cult followings, it seems. But it gives me hope that so even on my channel, in the comments where people say thank you for putting this out, you've changed how I think about things. I'm more discerning these days. I've stopped following this person who was clearly lying. So it gives me hope to see people listening and doing their own research and judging for themselves. Though on the flip side, it is terrifying still that a lot of people don't do that and will just reshare, repost, post memes that they find and go along with things. So there's a lot to work on with hope. But what gives me hope is that I can see the good in people. I can see the good in this world, and I can see there are people that may be blindsided for some time. People still are, but there are people going through like a second awakening where they go, actually, from both sides of the media, from the alternative media and from the mainstream, I'm going to be more careful about blindly following, sharing and leading people perhaps down some bad rabbit holes. That gives me hope. It gives me hope to see. There's a lot of negativity on the internet. You get a lot of trolls. You get a lot of people, keyboard warriors, not caring about what they say. They wouldn't say it to your face. I'm not necessarily talking about me. I'm talking about just in general. And I think that I'm seeing, even though it's still bad, on the internet, I am seeing people having a bit more compassion. And you'll have lots of people out there saying, look, I'm love and light and you're low vibration for saying this or doing that. And I stand by what I say and what I put out and what I believe. And I see more people starting to be more open-minded to that and not just saying, well, love, light, oh, you're low vibration, and saying, oh, actually, okay, I'll listen to you. I'll see what you've got to say. Oh, okay. And not just with me, with anything, just do your own research, people. Anything I say, even, go and read the books, talk to the people, search for it, go to the locations, do, just have some responsibility over your discernment. And so I've got hope in the good in people, although it's a tough one, because on the flip side, sometimes I it feels like I have little hope, but I try to stay positive.
Well, that's a superb answer, and I'm not just, that is a superb answer. And from my experience, which, following you, watching your stuff, I think I'd say this: you've definitely put a massive part into building people, because they're not, you're right, there are waves of awakening, I think, and this is for all of us. And some of the people who did awake a couple of years ago that just started having to reawake now and reassess the people they've followed, and you've done a massive help towards that yourself, others who I hope to get on the podcast as well, by just showing your discernment, showing what you're looking at. I mean, it's been huge, because you're not just saying, oh, don't follow this guy because of that, or don't. You are showing facts upon facts about the reasons why you think not to look at this person for their information. Or so hats off to you for literally being a massive part of that. But that's a fabulous answer, because there is good in people.
Thank you for saying so, Matty. And it's not just about, I put it into that kind of perspective because of some of the videos that I do make, where I do look into people, but it's not about looking into certain individuals, even though I think that's a very important thing. It's looking into all information, the narrative that's out there in the mainstream, the government narrative, the media narrative, everything, our history. It's a lot bigger than talking about whether one person. And I know that I do a lot of that. I'll talk about an individual, whether to trust them, but on the in the bigger picture, it's there's a bigger picture out there for that.
Definitely, and I want to talk to you more about that as well, because I know you have been focused in some ways on certain individuals, because they're the ones that are in the truth movement, that are spreading things around, lies, etc. You've been personally attacked as well, which I know you've spoken about and I've seen with my own eyes. So you are focused on these individuals, but in some ways, but there's a whole wide range of what you do. And where you said there about, what I would say is this: you see the discernment that you apply and to your videos when you're looking into somebody, and you nailed it there. Do it to all information. It's not just about a grifter or somebody trying to make money, a patriot, whatever they're called. It's about life, and using the way that you look into things and others, could be very valuable for people in life and all information. So I'm glad you brought that up. I really am. I'm glad you brought that up. Right. Next question, Em. Next question. What's the best thing about life for Seeker of Truth?
What's the best thing about life? Family, friends, good friends, happiness. You've got to be happy. You have to be happy in life. You have to. The best thing about life, about my life, if you want to put it, personally, is seeking that happiness. Seeker of happiness. It's about family. It's about good friends. It's about connections, relationships, happiness in what you do, happiness in the way that you present yourself, and how you want to. How you want to be in life. If you were going to be remembered, how would you want to be remembered? But importantly, it's not so much about what other people think. It's about you and what you think about yourself, and you've got to be happy with yourself. What's happiness in life? And I think that the most important things are family, friends, health, good health, and the health of and happiness of your friends and family. Friends and family, the gems in life, to put a pun.
Awesome, absolutely awesome answers. Really, really appreciate them. And it's quite interesting because the podcasts that have come before you, everybody said family, and hopefully we get to touch on this as we go on for this podcast. But that's one of the main things being attacked by mainstream media, and that's just popped into my head. I'm not leading us into that. That has literally just popped into my head. So hopefully we do get to have a little chat about that. But I want to just quickly say I apologize everyone sound a bit funny. I've got a bit of a cold, so I do apologise if I'm blowing my nose or anything in this. But what I want to do, if possible, is take you on a trip down memory lane. Now, this is not what you're expecting, so I hope I hope we get a good answer from this question. But looking at all your vids, and I'm going to be showing different vids throughout this, including the Mandela effect, including the occult side, which I'm hoping to get onto, the esoteric, the out there stuff, because you've done some amazing vids on that. You've obviously done the vid which YouTube didn't like on the jabs, and what was going on there, and it's a shame because that would have actually been huge, absolutely huge on there. But you've headed out rifters, you've smashed them to bits all over the place. But there's a theme that I see, and it's a reason why I followed you right at the start, was you seem to be the kind of guy that wants to turn injustices over. You want to turn them around. You want to get in there and have a look, and go, hold on a minute, that's an injustice there. And it's such a strong feeling I get from you when you're looking at stuff. So this is the memory lane bit now. So sorry if this is a bit strange, but what was your first injustice that you can remember, if you were a child or if you were younger? What happened? What triggered it? Because it seems to me, and I'm only guessing here, that this is deep in you. This is deep. I've had chats with you. We've talked on the phone. I've been on chats with you. We've been on the group chats, and you seem to be there for people, and it's a nice quality to have. And I'm just wondering, what was the first injustice you seen, or was there a few, or was there something when you were growing up where you thought this isn't right, and that made you into, not a detective inspector, but you know what I mean? That made you form into that kind of view where you're not going to stand for it. And if you can, you're going to turn those injustices into justice.
Interesting question. I didn't have the easiest of I didn't have the easiest, but I didn't have the worst of childhoods. And yeah, I don't want to put that. It's not that I had a particularly hard childhood. I wasn't, but there are things in life, and everyone goes through, tough times. And I think that, and I've said this over and over again, it's almost like a motto of mine. The reason I do what I do, a big part of it is around mental health. And I think for me, before I started my channel, so I'd been looking into conspiracy theory, if you want to, call it that, or alternative truths, or however you want to look at it. I was looking at the fact that maybe everything that's out there may not, be the truth, or maybe there are things that are hidden. I've been looking into that for a very long time. So that always interested me. Before I made my channel, a couple of years before, I had a bit of an epiphany where I changed my career to get into the sort of the field of mental health and things like that. So, but also, when I was, a few years before I'd started my channel, I did have a particularly bad patch in life where I experienced my own struggles with mental health. And also I went through periods of seeing people that were close to me suffering from it. So that then became massive for me from the mental health aspect. And then when it came to the narrative we've been living in for the last few years and what I was seeing online, going back to the first person that I investigated, and the reason why I started my YouTube channel, there was a guy called Greg Hallett, or King John III, going around saying he was the rightful king of England, and so many people were sucked into that story. And in fact, it launched, it is a massive part of why Charlie Ward became very popular in the beginning, and they made professional documentaries about him. And they were asking for money. They were saying that we weren't asking for money, but there was, donation pages for the documentaries, but also like the guy, Greg Hallett, was saying he was king, was also, doing some fundraising and things. But more so than the money was how people were believing him. And at the beginning of this narrative that we've been living in for the last few years, people were out of work, self-employed people were struggling. And I would see messages saying, look, people should really be supporting you, through this by giving money. We've just given our last 200 quid to you, and we're struggling. I'm out of work at the moment because I was self-employed, and I was seeing that, and at the same time looking into it because I'm interested in these sort of things and going, there's so many red flags here. And I was going, nah, guys, just just be careful. Don't give money you can't afford. And then one of my sort of online closer friends started to kind of struggle with their mental health because they believed in this narrative, and not necessarily me had pulled them out, they pulled themselves out, but a lot of the information that I provided, supported their, them sort of turning around. And it upset me to see that someone had made up, this very clever narrative, had fooled so many people, but to see firsthand someone suffering. And that comment that I was talking about, and there was more comments similar to it, but that was one that stuck out for me, where they were like, I've just given you my last 200 quid, and people should be giving you money because you're going to be walking in the gates of Buckingham Palace in the next few weeks or months. So why are people not taking this seriously? And this, was 2.5 years ago. So it didn't happen. The guy was, he was a charlatan, a grifter. And I could see that back then because I started turning over stones that other people were ignoring because they wanted the confirmation bias. They wanted it to be true. And so, yeah, that. So what was your question? Where did this kind of start? I mean, I hope that answers it, because there wasn't necessarily major injustices when I was younger. There wasn't a big thing that happened that made me the way I am today, unless you want to count kind of later on in life, where mental health became very important to me professionally, personally. And that's what, I knew a lot about. Obviously, like I said, I'd researched conspiracy theory for, it's nearly 20 years now. I started young. And so it's something that I felt, hang on, I can help with this. I wouldn't even say my discernment was necessarily properly in tune then. I wouldn't even say anyone's is, and I'm not necessarily, my views on things are not. I wouldn't necessarily say, I'm better than everyone else. I know the absolute truth. I don't. I'm just out there. I'm seeking for the truth, and I'm trying to help people with that. Hence my name. I'm not saying the truth. I'm saying I'm seeking the truth, guys. I'm one of you. I'm trying to, and this is what I found. Look at it. Don't just ignore it. Look at it. And that's kind of where I started. And that incident where I started my channel, that's what spurred me on, because I'd always said I wanted to make a channel and talk about these interesting things that excite me. Like your first question, which was looking into things and learning about things, and that excited me, and I wanted to do something like that. And then it was kind of like a gateway of, people weren't listening to what I was typing to them online and the links that I was sharing with them. They were like, yeah, no, but you're just a troll or whatever. So I was like, well, okay, they make videos, let's start making videos. And I started this group and gained a lot of people that were starting to align with the truth. And from that, people started feeding me information, which helped me as well with my research. And I was like, I put it all together, and I interviewed, in this instance with the fake king, I interviewed his family, his high school friends. I found out all sorts about him. I looked into the documents. I found out about his actual ancestry, and not his in real family tree, and not what he was writing down. And having all of that, and being able to being able to get in front of the camera and talk, and do that and try and present it and learn. I had to learn video editing and making videos. I had no experience in that at all. So I had to learn. So if you go and watch my first few videos, I mean, it's clearly, it looks a lot more amateur than how amateur my videos might be now. But I felt that people would listen, and they did. Eventually, they did. Slowly, they did, and that's how my channel gained traction, and how I continued on the path from where I find myself today.
Awesome, absolutely awesome. I'll say one thing that from what you've just said there, there's so many other comments that I want to make, and so I'm going to try and remember them, because that was epic. That was absolutely epic. But when I remember right early on when I first come across you on Twitter and even on YouTube, and I was saying to you that I was on Telegram, and let me know when you get a Telegram channel and things like that. And every month I was like, you're going to get a Telegram channel and things like that. But a couple of things. One of the things that drew me to you even more was I saw comments in one of your vids, and it's too dark and deep. A lot of things I want to discuss here, and a lot of things there which are really positive. But I saw a guy talking to you, and it was the first time I took a step back, and the way you responded to him, you spoke about your own personal experience with people, mental health, and I was just taken back that you'd taken the time to actually sit there and keep responding. And there was other, and I was just, I was really taken by then. And personally, mental health is a big issue for me too. And that I just never forget that. And that's when I started hammering you even more, saying, let's get on Telegram, let's get you on Telegram, because I need you to. And also, I'd just like to say as well, thank you to you, because you were the guy that told me to start a YouTube channel and start putting my vids on YouTube. So big up to you too, MSeeker, because you did. It was you that did that. So really appreciate that. You touched on a couple of things there, which I wanted to get over to as well, which was your conspiracy theories.
Sorry, can I just interject? Because I want to say something a lot, about the Telegram thing. Yes, you did. You kept pushing me, and I was like, no. I'm on, at Facebook, which, there's two sides of the coin there. It's a great place to because there's so many people on there to kind of promote things. But I'm not advocating for Facebook, and the censorship there is terrible. But I had that, and I had Twitter, which I really don't like, but I use as a promotional tool too. And I had my channel, and that for me at the time just felt like a lot. But you were saying go on Telegram, and I was thinking another social. I didn't even want to go on Instagram. I still don't even really use Instagram to communicate with people, to message people that are not anywhere else. But you kept saying go on, honestly, and I just thought it's going to be another one. What was the one before Telegram that Parler, yeah, and that disappeared, didn't it? And I just thought, Telegram's going to disappear at some point, and it didn't. And actually now, I went on Telegram, and lots of people were receptive to my work there. And you got me on there, and you've been moderating for. So I just wanted to say you've been moderating for my Telegram channel, and I thank you for doing that and being a part of that and helping me manage that. And I really, really do appreciate it. So I wanted to just throw that out there, that actually you've been a big help on there. And actually, yes, there's Telegram can also be a pit of disinformation if you look in the wrong places. But actually, I've managed to find a good community of people, like-minded people, joining into our chats, joining into my channel, and I use Telegram is probably one of the main tools that I use now to reach out, talk to people, and to promote my work. So thank you. I wanted to thank you back for getting me on there. And now I'm having similar things. People saying you need to get on Truth Social. That's where you need to be. And I'm like, no, I'll stick with it. But maybe I should. But I thank you.
You won't believe you. You're very welcome, and thank you too, because it did take that inspiring from you to get me on YouTube. But I want to say something. It's strange you just said about Truth Social, because today I just joined Truth Social today.
Oh, really?
As Open Media One, so it's at Open Media One. But I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. I mean, we're very busy with Telegram, but you highlighted something about Telegram there that I do want to say. You see, if you use your skills of discernment, the stuff that you put out in your vids and what other people do as well, you're fine on Telegram. In fact, it's probably the best place to be able to go and view things and use discernment and go, don't know about that, don't know about that. Whereas if you look at mainstream media, you're only getting a portion of things. If you look at the opposite side of the coin, you're only getting a portion, whereas in Telegram, it seems to be everything. And if you use that discernment, it's like some people call it the Wild West. I call it the last frontier.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. I mean, I've called it Wild West before. You're absolutely right. If your Telegram, Facebook has been useful to me because there's so many people there, and I'd already had built a community of followers there. However, it's difficult to, and even, you know, sometimes my posts and things, you know, I'm trying to be careful how I post things and what I put on there. But, you know, the fact checking or censorship, you know, and I'm not saying that, you know, all fact checks are wrong. It sometimes they're like, yeah, that's right. You know, what they've put there is good. I hope people listen to that. And I think people should use their discernment when they're looking into what the fact checkers are saying. However, they go a bit too OTT and a bit too far, in my opinion. And the censorship has become to the point where you can't share the other side of the coin, or you can't share your own opinion on things sometimes. Whereas Telegram, yeah, the Wild West is how I put it. Sometimes it's a minefield, and there's so many channels out there that are spreading bad information. I try not to do, you know, I try to make sure that I have discernment as always, but when I post on my Telegram channel, but I also have an open forum, an open chat where, you know, people can say, you know, share and say pretty much anything, but, you know, I draw the line on certain things, you know, sort of racist posts, etc., and we try to our best to moderate that and censor that, but we're not on there 24 hours a day, and it's a shame to see some people you know, going on usually Twitter, you know, I kind of look at as the butthole of socials, and saying, you know, and saying, oh, look what we found on Seeker of Conspiracy's channel. They're all talking about this, and it's not something that I'm aligned with, you know, and it's something that we may have deleted later or we've missed, and that they just loving to. It's the same as, you know, any sort of pushing the narrative. It's like, oh, we can link his name to it and say that M's a bad guy because he's let this be said in the public forum which his name's on. Like,
it's silly, isn't it? It's like they're using the mainstream media tactics back at you. It's the craziest thing when you say that. It's like, you know, you're shot for doing it, for not doing it, kind of thing. And your group's amazing. Underrating it. I love being an admin on there. The other admins are superb. The mods are superb. The members are terrific on your group chat. They really are. And I love that fact about Telegram where there is communities building, and, you know, you are going to get some dicks sometimes that do those posts and go, look what MSeeker's allowing on his group. But generally, it's what I said there. Things there. First thing is, these guys need to get a hobby or something. They don't want to be, I don't know what they're doing, sat 24 hours. Because they track your channels. But they track your channels. You're right. The hobby's following you. That's what it is. You're right.
That's it.
But so the first thing is, these guys need to get a hobby. And the second thing I'm going to say is, anyone who's making claims for or against adverse reactions or anything like that, it's not, you know, they're in the FISA documents. They're literally in the FISA documents. So, you know, before you start shouting about this and shouting about that, and, you know, looking into footballers collapsing, which again, I want to touch on this at the end of this as well, Em. I want to go back to this at the end, definitely. But use the discernment. Use this discernment that you can use in everything in life, you know.
Yeah.
Which I do want to get back to that. But one thing I noticed you do a lot, and in fact, everybody who's been on this podcast so far, this series, does the exact thing. See if you're wrong. Do you know what you do? You go, oh, I never knew that, or oh, I'll look into that. That's what you do, and that's what everyone else does. You know that. I've seen it.
You've just touched on something that directly relates to the point before, which I was saying, I hope they eat humble pie. I hope they admit when they were wrong, and I don't think you'll ever see that from them. And the thing that they've been shocked by, a lot of these people in those circles are my former supporters for outing Charlie Ward and that. And then I start talking about this narrative that's been going on the last few years, and they're like, no, you can't do that. No, oh, you're just like Charlie Ward then. No. But they will never stay. You know what I just said about, you know, where are we now, and, you know, maybe it was something that should have been taken seriously, and you were trying to stop me from talking about it, shame me for it. They will never. You'll never see on there, you know, oh, okay, well, maybe there was something in this. Maybe we were wrong about this. Maybe we shouldn't have been hard on M for it. Not that you know, I might like respond. I might care for a few minutes, and then I'm like, well, screw you guys, you know. But these guys will never apologize. And the thing is, they pointed out something in that video, that the video we're talking about with the collapse. Oh, you got this wrong, this statistic wrong. Can you show me this? And I admitted then, I said, look, oh yeah, I had said this wrong. And I've got this wrong. You know what? Thank you for pointing this out. I'll make a public apology, which I did on every social platform, and I will re-edit the video and put out the new version. And I lost a lot of the views that I'd already got for doing that. But the views mean nothing if you're pushing false information. And they had rightly at that point, put me bang to rights. This statistic or what you said here is wrong. Can you prove this? I said, well, no, actually, you're right. I didn't say this is the right. I misspoke here, and and this is not necessarily true. So I made that public apology, and that is what takes. Screw your ego, screw your pride, and no one gets everything right all the time, and neither do they on the other side of the fence. But you won't see them doing that. I'm proud of myself for not ignoring that and going, you know what? Yeah, you're right. So there's always been, you've got to be open-minded. You've got to be not afraid to put down your ego for a minute and go, what is the best in the pursuit of truth? And that is something we do not see from the other side. They will fight to the end of the earth to ensure that they never have to be embarrassed about where they stood or what they said before. And that is not healthy.
100%. 100%. Do you know what as well? It's so liberating sometimes. Do you know what? I was wrong. Wow. I never saw that. It's like a free feeling. I mean, I had Paul Cook on recently. He talked about the honesty and being honest. You're the same. It's a struggle. I mean, I've worked in sales, marketing, stuff like that, and there's a lot of deceit in that world. I've worked in the financial industry. I've seen the media mainstream with my own eyes. I've watched what's happened, and I don't know where they find the time or the energy, honestly. And it's easier to say, whoa, I was wrong, rather than, because not only would they not admit they were wrong and say sorry, they've then got to do all the processes of backing that lie up again, backing up the excuses, the reasons. That it seems nonsensical to me. It seems like a waste of time.
The embarrassment behind admitting you're wrong is extremely temporary. And although you may feel at the time that it's going to discredit you, if you handle your response to that and you handle your corrective action of that, no matter if people for 5-10 minutes a day could be like, hey, look, he was wrong. After that, everyone will respect you and everyone will come back, because you know what, you were wrong about something. You admitted it immediately and you did all the corrective action to do that. And that is a seeker of truth. That is someone that cares about, that cares about it. And the people that are just that would never do that. Those are that's the problem. That's the problem in the world when we are trying to seek facts and seek the truth and be good people. But
you know what? Maybe that's their awakening. And I would just like to say one more thing before we go on to another question I've got for you. But sure. I feel a bit bad now I've just said that, because that's quite judgmental of me to say, that they, why can't they admit where they're wrong? Because, I remember the first time when I couldn't do that when I was younger, and maybe I've just had loads of things that have gone wrong where I've had to admit I'm wrong. So I'm being perhaps a little bit judgmental because my life has geared me to be the person I am now, and I'm glad for that. But
it's not judgmental.
So hopefully this is their awakening. Hopefully this is
we're not saying
their awakening.
We're not saying that they're terrible people. We're just saying that they've got, they may not be as wise and awakened as they think they are.
Definitely.
I don't think it's judgmental to say, look, if you've got it wrong, own up to it, admit it and take corrective action. And the thing is I speak making this a whole subject here as if I've got loads of things wrong. I haven't, right?
No. Just
my whole channel is about giving evidence, facts behind things, and getting people to review them. And a lot of the time people won't. my whole channel, and there's a big pride behind that. So when something was pointed out in that video where I got a statistic wrong or I'd said something wrong, I think it was around the amount of people that had taken the juice, right? And I'd said what I'd misspoken the fact or whatever, and then so I rectified it. But it's not often, it's very rare for that to happen. But oh my God, were they an animal with a bit between the teeth? And when that arose, and I know that they care because what they believe the narrative to be is important to them, because they believe, like the TV says, people are dying and how selfish people that won't take it and all of that stuff. I get that, but I think there's another motive behind that. I think that may be the spark of why people suddenly have an obsession with, my content or what's said on my Telegram public chat or whatever. I think there's other motives, and I think that people get real complexes, real mental complexes, and they need to be right. And if they don't believe in one thing that I've said, they would, because people listen to me, they'd want to discredit me, and it's just they've not been successful. Whatever floats their boat, but yeah.
It's definitely, I mean, they definitely need to get a new hobby. And it's a shame. It's a shame. I'm not going to stay too long on this, but it's a shame because if they just applied full discernment, but again, maybe, like I said, maybe it's their awakening. This is just their journey in life. And we've probably all been there at some point in our lives as well, because I know I have when I was younger. I was so fervent on some beliefs and what I've been taught and this and that. I'd argue with people, so we've all been there. Maybe some of us, we were younger when we went through that. But yeah, hopefully they get a new hobby. The only thing it does is it brings more people. Have you ever noticed that? And these guys are posting that, you get a few more followers come on. It's the craziest thing.
I know, absolutely.
That's something I like in your comments as well. See people who follow you, they know that you've gone after a lot of grifters, Charlie Ward, Simon Parks, loads of them. You've worked with others doing it, and you do get those comments where people say, I never used to follow you, or I didn't used to believe in you, or I used to give you dislikes or put the thumbs down, and I'm really sorry.
Call me names, call me intelligent assets, call me all sorts under the sun.
But sorry, and they say sorry, and that must feel good to you. These are actual real people. That's exactly what you want to be doing. You know, from the start. And these people have said horrible things or nasty things, and they come back onto your comments and say, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I didn't believe you at the time because of X, Y, Z. Now I do. I'm so glad you put these videos out." That's an accolade to you. You must feel really proud of that.
I do, and it's one of my main drivers and why I continue. And these sorts of people that do come on admit, I said that this other side of the coin, they won't admit any humble pie. The ones that do those comments, and there's been a lot of them, and you're right. And yes, it makes me very proud for what I do, and it spurs me on, motivates me, because there's been times when I thought, do I even continue doing this? But then whenever I get to that point, it seems that I'll get a couple of messages that say something so profound and say that 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 my work had really helped them. But these sorts of people that do that are the people that believed in the Greg Hallett's, the Charlie Wards, the Simon Parkses. These are the people that unlike the others, were looking into alternative media, alternative truths and things, and they're the people that come back usually and apologize and thank me for my work, and that says something. I think that says something when you've got people that are opened up to look into maybe what we're being told on the TV or by the government is not true, and go down these rabbit holes. And as I said, some of them find themselves down bad rabbit holes and find themselves sometimes in like cult-like positions, following someone blindly and repeating everything that they say. And it's when those sorts of people then kind of, like I said about the second awakening earlier, realize, and some of them like 2 months before had spewed all sorts of hate into my comments, and they've come back and said, "I'm so sorry for saying all that. I didn't actually watch your video then. I watched like 10 minutes and decided to start calling you those names. And then I found out some things for myself, and then I went back and watched the whole thing. And I just want to say I'm sorry and thank you so much for your work. It's so important." And that that's that sort of person. And a lot of people that go through that experience, they don't come back on to say that. They don't. A lot of people don't have that. They're like, oh, okay, I'll just forget about it. I won't readdress it. I was a dick. I won't readdress it. But the fact that so many people do, which must be only like a very small percentage, 5% or less of those people that have that experience, come back and actually make a point of it and say, look, I was a dick. I'm sorry. Thank you so much. I don't think that probably a lot of creators get those sort of comments. So that, it does inspire me to carry on and motivate me.
You can bet as well, that have done that, gone through that journey, and even the ones that don't reply and say sorry for being a dick to you before, you can bet the majority of those guys are going to be using discernment for everything going, because they've been burned by it. So they've come out the other side and they're like, woof, which is why we're all the way we are, because we've been in situations past, and mate, absolutely top notch for that. Top notch. Now I want to ask you another question. Now, similar to the first one, so it's a bit of a memory for you. What was the first conspiracy theory you ever came across, or the first out there? Because a lot of things, Mandela effect, you've covered, Area 51 stuff, you've covered close encounters, you had that guy Ted Maron as well. That was that was a pretty out there one. But so what was your first conspiracy theory that you ever seen? And this is just before we get back to the vaccines, if you've got time, but just to either there. But what was the first conspiracy theory, out there, alien encounter, anything like that you can remember that got you into stuff?
Well, it's probably, for me, the same as a lot of people. Roswell. The Roswell incident was I believe that was the first, which is not a surprise really in this world, in the conspiracy world, because it's one of the most famous conspiracy stories. I believe it was, or at least that was the one that sparked me to go, you know what, and went full on, like, okay, let's look down all these different and actually for a long time it was mainly around UFOs or UAPs, which incidentally I've witnessed a lot of, especially lights in the sky that don't make sense, and one daytime very clear cigar-shaped metallic object going through my skyline. So, but which came later. But yeah, I had a real interest in alien abduction stories and the story of the crashed UFOs in Roswell in 1947. I think that's where I started, or at least I became not obsessed, but very highly interested in that sort of stuff.
It's the one that with Roswell, I always remember it. It was the big, large-headed alien, and it was so different to the other shaped alien heads that I'd seen. And it is the one, I think, that everybody seems to. I remember that when I was younger. I remember that.
Well, with Roswell, actually, probably the common description is like a grey, right? Like a big sort of head with big black eyes. I believe, but that's on the surface of it, and you look further into it, and there's other avenues, rabbit hole stories that can come from that. The mortician, that the nurse that believed that they saw this body, and the very real newspaper article that was put out that day saying downed the flying saucer. So there's a lot to look into with that, and then obviously you've got the offshoot stories of apparent whistleblowers that talk about EBA 1, extraterrestrial biological entity 1, that they had held for so many years, and they'd learned a lot from about the crashed spaceships, etc. I'm not saying that any of these avenues are for sure dead truth, but these are the avenues that I explored. I believe something happened in Roswell.
Yeah. Oh, exciting. Are you planning on doing more vids? I know you did one with Rice, and you did 2 with Rice, and you're going to be doing more with Rice TV as well, aren't you? Looking into the occult and things like that as well.
In the future, I'll definitely do more videos with Rice. I'll do more videos with you and other cool people that I'd like to create with. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, in terms of other content, as I'd said in the Rice interviews, I've been doing a lot of videos in exposing charlatans, liars, grifters in the truther community, etc. I will continue to do that, and that's probably what a lot of people want to see on my channel. That's why a lot of people subscribe to my channel. But I like to look into other things, and don't like to define myself as just like a grift buster. There's other things I'm interested in, which I've been trying to display in other videos, and I have done through a lot of my YouTube career, as it were. But it's like sort of like 1 in 8 videos or something a bit different, and I hope to kind of raise that ratio and do more. And that was what the recent video on our occulted history and the hidden planet, was something a bit different. The Mandela effect, I did that a while ago, which you mentioned, and I know you want to talk about that. I'm literally working on the second part of that, which is well overdue right now. I've started filming it already. So, but yeah, I like to look into the conspiracy world for sure. I mean, it's interesting. It's and I'm sure there's lots of things that are legit, worth looking into at least, or even could be legit. There's something there.
Right, we're going to get into the next part, and this might be the final part because I'm conscious of time here, and we touched on it already. You went in heavy on the footballers collapsing. You smashed it. You were highlighting facts. You were highlighting people collapsing. There was a British Heart advert that came on regarding that you shared as well. I mean, you've been an absolute champion about. And just for getting people to think.
It was actually, there was a lot of doctors and medical professionals accounts that were taken from other videos that are well known, that were mixed in there, and they were rejumbled, and I'd taken so much material, and I'd then kind of made this video, reordered it into my own sort of creation, right, along with my own opinion in there, and lots of other stuff. Taking the needle, it was called.
That's it. Yes.
That within 20 minutes of me putting it on, 20 minutes, literally they were on top of it and removed, and it wasn't even like it was copying. That doesn't usually happen that quickly. They were on it with that. Mm-hmm. Now the later video, the one with the footballers collapsing, why are I can't remember what it was called now. Again, why are sports people collapsing or something like that? That I purposefully put on my backup YouTube channel because I thought, I don't want a community strike or whatever, because I know they're going to target it, and they didn't. They didn't in the end, so it's still on there. But I did put like a video on my main channel, and in it I show the beginning of it, and I say, hey guys, follow the link to the main one. So it's still up on YouTube actually. So yeah.
Well, the thing is, you see the taking the needle one. Honestly, that I love that one, and I remember it. And you literally, when I meant about your opinion, which it was when you basically posed the question, going, "Listen, guys, is this what you really want to be doing?" You've got all of these facts here, and if you remember rightly, that was right bang smack in the middle of it. It was around 2021. I remember, and there were still lockdowns. There was still in certain places. There was mask mandates. There was this. There was the biggest marketing and sales campaign I've ever seen.
It was in the thick of it. I put out that video when the juice first appeared. When it was starting to be rolled out. When it was about to be rolled out, I think even. Maybe it had just rolled out. So I mean, it was really early days when I put out that video. But there was lots of, like I say, doctors, medical professionals and stuff, which I included in that video that were talking out about it then. Very, very early days, that one. That was one of my, that was a very early video of mine. What I will point out is, have you watched the recent video put out by Oracle Films?
No, I haven't, no.
You've heard of them, I'm guessing, though.
Yeah, I'm on their channel.
Yeah, they've done some very interesting work. They've recently put out a video called Safe and Effective, a Second Opinion.
I saw you share that today. I saw you share that. I was going to watch that after we've done the podcast.
Excellent. I recommend you do, and I recommend anyone go and watch it now. that you'll find some statistics in there, as well as very real stories and actual accounts of people talking about their injuries, or even as far as their family deaths. Regarding this, which is a very real thing, and a couple of them have had already compensation for their injuries, damage, etc. 120 grand, I believe.
Yeah.
I
did a vid on that. I did a vid on that a while back too.
Yeah,
and some lawyers contacted me.
That's confirmation enough that there, is a problem. The problem is the media will always say, "Oh, it's a very rare, it's very small," and the whole question that video poses is it that rare? So it's definitely go and watch that video. I
will. As soon as we've done this, and I've watched Intel Lady, give her a big shout out here as well because she's going live.
Intel Lady's going live.
I'm going to watch that vid straight after as well.
About this, because I've not reviewed this information, so I can't really comment on it. But yeah, if you send it to me, I'll have a look over it. Yeah,
100%. And I would have to find which vid it is because it does a vid a day. But he come out the other day as well. He said, and I'm watching it lately just to see what is the information, because it could be a shield, it might be controlled, it might not. But whatever's happening with these shields, whether they are or not, the information's starting to roll out. So I look at these guys and go, what is the information they want in the public domain? Yesterday or the day before, his vid was, this is my vaccination status. My last vaccine was in November 2021. Look at all the text they're sending me, and I'm not having another one. It's up to you what you guys do, but I'm not having another one. And it's that kind of, he's totally turned around. So it's really interesting, some of the documents he's reading out. So I'm going to find that vid and about the 8 mice.
Send it to me. And interesting what you say there, because there's lots of people that I know, and I know personally in real life, that were all about, well, are you not having one? Oh, why are you not having, oh, well, fair enough, but, I think you should probably, and then later change their mind and go, I'm not having another one. This is fishy now. A year later, year and a half on, you know what? Nah, I'm not having another one. I don't trust it now. But, they trusted it at the beginning. The propaganda was hard and was fast and was in your face, and everyone, and the coercion, I would look at that video that I just said for you guys to watch, and I'll give Matty the link to put in the description. The tactics they used were unethical, to mentally steer people into, we need to take this, we need to take it fast, and they said it's okay, and so yeah, what you said about people sort of changing their stance, and there are a lot of people that go, what, screw this, how long are we gonna have to, how many of these are we gonna have to have, I'm not having another one. And what gives me hope, you asked at the beginning, and this is a great way to close this out, is that lots of people are going, what, I'm not having another one. And you know what, I've changed my mind, or I'm open-minded now, and even if they're saying it might have done some good, but you know what, I'm not putting myself through. Do I need another one? That gives me hope, because that is the beginnings for a lot of people, and especially people I know personally and I care about in life, that are saying those things. It's a lot less scary when it than in the beginning, where it seemed like you couldn't say anything, because especially because they're just taking it, they're all just taking it. So if you did, and you tried to say, look, there's not this, whatever you tried to say, they would look at you and be like, you can't be right. I've just had this in my body. Mm-hmm. So I'd rather you weren't right. And if there is something looking to, just shut up, because I don't need to hear this right now. And that's what it was like then. What it is like now is like, I had it, I'm okay, thank God. No more. And that gives me hope.
You know what, as well, you're so right. There's loads of people I know, and I mean loads, who are not having boosters, who have said no. I know a guy had the vaccine and are now not even taking flu shots. I'm being serious. They're like, I used to have a flu shot every year and I'm not doing it anymore. So that's a good way. That is a great way to end it, because there's definitely changing. And just, I say this, I've said this to a few people. If you think back to 2 years ago when this first come out, yourself, myself, other people were looking, going, oh, what's this all about here? To now, there are more people into nonsense, corruption, bad doings in the world than ever before. And there's a little part of me that, I've said this up before to people, I don't know whether that's part of the design. I don't know whether, I'm hopeful that things will go good. And sometimes you need adversity before you can grow or become stronger. And I'm not saying I agree with the people that have done this, if that's the case, but I think that I'm looking at the silver lining of this. We can become stronger as a race of people from this. And I'm not agreeing with any of the narcissists that have done all this. I'm not. I just, I look at it from outside the box and go, right, this has all happened now. Where do we go from here? That's where my brain goes. So I'm buzzing that I've linked up with you and other people, and I'm buzzing that you guys are the people that use your discernment and you're helping others. It's. And I tell you something. There's another thank you to you and everybody else who's in our groups and communities. It helped me a lot during all the nonsense. Not to get deep here, I don't mean to end this on an emotional one. I got tears in my eyes here, but it helped me a lot when I really thought I was the only one on my own. I could be saying no on my own. It helped me a lot to get into the communities and chat with you guys and meet you guys and have, we really were thinking similar thoughts, and not just UK people, it was Canadians, Americans, people from all over the world, South America, everywhere, all talking with each other at that time. And thank you to everyone. Thank you to everyone for real, because we all did that together.
You know what, Matty? You're a great person to know. You're a great person to have around. And all my friends, and online friends, they're like, I said, I'm going to do this show with Matty. He's got this Getting Chatty with Matty show coming out, and they're all like, oh, I love Matty. You are a great personality, and also. The reason that I said start a YouTube channel was because your the videos you put out, and you're putting out on Telegram and just as, which is great, you can show other people, but I was like, just have a channel, get recognized for doing what you do and saying what you say, and it's great that you did, and I support you continuing to do so, and I think you should, because the conversation we've had just now, I'm sure a lot of people would really enjoy to listen to, and your perspective and what you've got to say, and the way that the conversation went fluidly. We're friends, and we've known each other for a while now, and it's great to connect with you. It's great to come on your channel. I certainly will do again. Keep this up. Keep up the Getting Chatty. I've watched a couple of them. I will have to watch the rest of the Getting Chatty with Matty. I think I've missed maybe one or two, but I just keep it up. Because you are really, you're a really good person to talk to, and it's really good to watch you talking to people. You've got a certain way, you're very personable. So you weren't alone. No, you weren't alone at all. There was loads, and I think a lot of people felt like that at the beginning. And there's a lot of people out there that, and we're in a different place now. A couple of years later, loads of people have found their tribe, found their people, have been magnetized towards people that are on the same wavelength, the same vibration, the same. It's clearly, although it's been a divisive time where you see lots of people on the complete other end of the spectrum and might give you hate and things like that. Also, there's a lot of love on the other side, which is what I'm getting to. And you're loved, man. So thanks for having me on your show.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, MSeeker. I'm honored. I've got tears in my eyes, mate. And I love you. I love you all. Thank you so much. And everyone, bravo for MSeekerOfTruth. Thank you, man.
Thanks for having me on. Well, have me on again. I'll gladly come on your channel again.
Thanks.